Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. In a week where some of the world's top athletes are getting ready for the World Indoors in China, track and field is where we start this Monday edition. But it's the story of the Athletics Association of Guyana holding its overdue annual general meeting and elections on Sunday at the National Racquet Center in Georgetown. And in keeping with the recent AAG trend, controversy ensued. It is reported that incumbent Aubrey Hudson, who was vying for a fourth term, left before voting took place, citing constitutional breaches. Several clubs and officials abstained from the voting process. And after the dust settled, 6 clubs cast votes, with Sheryl Hermonstine securing 5 to become the first elected female president of the AAG. The other vote went to Dr. Ariane Mangar. Her executive is as follows. Vice presidents. The first vice president, Mark Scott. Second vice president, Mayfield Taylor Trim. Treasurer, Dwayne Carter. And Niall Stanton is the assistant treasurer. That's the executive being led by Sheryl Hermonstine. Now, Sheryl Hermonstine joins us via Zoom now to discuss the issues surrounding Sunday's AGM, plus the way forward for the AAG under her leadership. Not, Sheryl, a position that you are unfamiliar with, having served in an interim role before. But can you briefly look back to 24 hours ago and clear up the issues that we just referenced regarding Hudson complaining about constitutional breaches and clubs abstaining from voting? Yes, Sheryl, are you hearing us?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yeah, we were just checking about...
Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you well. It sounds as if we have a bit of a delay, because I wanted to find out from you if you could throw some light on the issues that surfaced yesterday, clubs abstaining from voting and Hudson leaving before the voting process started.
Good afternoon again. I'm Sheryl Hermonstine. I'm now the president of the Athletic Association, and thank you for having me on your program. Actually, I would have preferred not to delve into that aspect on this program today. I did not know that any of the teams would have abstained. I know that a few of the clubs would have walked behind Mr. Hudson. All who were present voted.
Yeah, but wasn't it unsettling for you then? Because if you have an important AGM like that, you would, as a potential president, want to see the cadre of clubs investing in the process.
Definitely. I mean, I cannot really dictate what the clubs do. It's just what it is. They decided to go behind who they follow, and that's what happened. They complained of a few glitches that, to my mind, they weren't any, and so they thought it was the best thing to do. Like I said, I prefer not to go into this, but a motion was moved, and it was unconstitutional to move a motion. There was a period for motions and resolutions, and this was not submitted.
Yeah, I hear you.
So the motion wasn't carried.
Yeah, I hear you that you didn't think that there were breaches and you would prefer not to delve into it. But viewers of this program, Sheryl, have been watching this unfold for many, many months now. So can you say what were these breaches that were reported to have been surfacing, and why you are suggesting that they weren't breaches.
They the AAG, the executive or the life of the AAG came to an end on the 31st of January. Before the 31st of January, the systems were put in place for us to have our elections on the 16th of March, where the 8 clubs of our 12 clubs signed on to. However, sometime in February, a request was made by one club, and I think a few clubs signed on to it, requesting an extraordinary general meeting. So this is where they're saying it was unconstitutional because they were asking for an extra general meeting with the executive, with the former executive.
Right. Well, Sheryl, now that that process is over and you're now the new president of the AAG, what are some of the things that you plan to do to ensure that at the next election, Sheryl, these things don't resurface?
Okay, well, I plan to follow the same steps, and the steps are clear in the Constitution. There are guidelines to the elections, where notices are sent out, the nominations and everything. There are clear guidelines as to what takes place before you have an annual general meeting.
Tell us a bit now about the team that you're set to work with, Mark Scott and company.
I think I have an excellent team, very knowledgeable, very professional set of people. And I know that we will do good and work for the betterment of athletics in this country.
Yeah, and one of my biggest concern is, right, like when we have to sit here, there are so many events coming up for track and field that, these athletes need to be busy behind the scenes working and they need to get support from their leaders. It always bothers me when, there are so many internal disputes, and I know this happens in every organization, sometimes there are internal disputes. But now that you're in office and down to business, what are some of the things that you plan to put in place to ensure that Guyana's athletics is in the forefront and competing with countries like, let's just say, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados? What are some of the plans you have for athletics?
Well, some of the immediate plans is to have our coaches get on the e-learning platform and develop themselves, try to facilitate exchange programs with coaches and athletes within around the Caribbean, trying to work with the Minister and Ministry of Sports and stakeholders as a whole to erect or put together a high performance facility, try to have a proper remuneration package for coaches who would have been performing. And that means to, put our athletes on the map. Also, I want to look into advocating or for the implementing of a comprehensive athletic policy. This executive would finally also look at strategizing a plan to prepare for our 2028 Olympics.
Yeah, sounds good, Sheryl. I just want to go back to a few things earlier just to ensure that we are absolutely clear on a number of these matters. So you say that an extraordinary general meeting, EGM, was requested. I'm not sure I understood why it wasn't granted or could not be granted.
Like I said, we had put all the information and everything in place before council was dissolved. The clubs were written to, asking them, to, informing them that our elections will be on the 16th of March. And if they had agreed to sign and send back these forms, 8 of our 12 club did. So we went along with that.
Okay.
Council was dissolved on the 31st of January.
So it was not a situation necessarily that the request for the EGM came late. You're suggesting that you had gone beyond that point to have an EGM because everything for the annual general meeting was settled.
Was settled and set by the clubs.
So just based on the numbers that you gave, 6 clubs voted yesterday. So I am counting now that we had 6 clubs who did not participate.
Actually, 7 clubs were there. 6 voted, and the rest of clubs left. 5. Subsequently, 1 other club left. So there were 6 clubs.
So 6
but
clubs.
at the roll call for the election, there were 7 clubs there.
Okay. How do you suspect, you know, those 5 clubs who walked out, some would say followed Aubrey Hudson, might have impacted the outcome of this election?
I think that the clubs had a choice and they chose to walk out. And they chose to walk out. I don't know the reason behind them walking out. I don't know the reason for them walking out.
Yeah, I guess what I'm getting at, had they stayed, given what you know about how they were likely to vote, how do you think it would have impacted the outcome of the election?
That is a question I'll prefer not to answer. The results of the elections are out. I mean, how they would have voted, you know, that is not something I would want to delve into.
I understand why you would not want to delve into that 100%. Let's talk about the association that you now take over and will be leading. I understand that a pretty popular track and field agent was in Guyana recently, and that you might be taking over this association with a new sponsorship deal in place and good-looking coffers. Can you confirm any of that?
Yes. We will be signing on to Adidas contract sometime in the new week. And yes, an agent from that company was in Guyana.
What does this deal mean for Guyana's athletics from your standpoint, and how significant is it that it is coming at this stage, at the start of your tenure?
It is something that we were working on during the time when I was polling for or acting for the president in his absence. And seeing it now unfold under my new administration means a lot. And I know it will do a lot for Guyana, because you yourself would know that over the years you would have seen Guyana's athletes representing Guyana, you know, in locally made uniforms, etc. It's a proud moment to know and to have us being recognized by Adidas.
Let me move a little bit further with this, Ms. Hermonstine. Would you say that you are the popular choice among the power brokers in Guyana, from the government to the sponsors to a lot of outsiders who want to see the sport of track and field develop? I mean, would you agree if I suggested to you that you had some significant power brokers backing you in this election process?
That is also a question that I don't want to answer that question, but I will say this to you, that I think that the presidency, that I got the presidency at the right time when I am available and now retired and have the time. I was volunteering my service for over 28 years with the Athletic Association. And at that time, I was working. I was a police officer in the discipline forces. Yeah. And so now I'm off. I have all the time because this is something I like doing. So,
yeah, sounds great. By the way, did you get all the way up to superintendent in the police force? Am I correct?
Assistant superintendent.
Assistant superintendent. My apologies. Still some way up. How do you think that background will assist you in this position, in this job, especially given the circumstances that you have taken over in, the controversial build-up to the election and the controversial election process itself on the day?
Well, I can tell you offhand, the discipline is what is guiding me. The upbringing in the military is what is propelling and moving me forward now.
Can you comment briefly on the fact we're being told that there was a previous female president of the AAG, Dr. Jem Fletcher, so this would make you the second.
Jem Fletcher.
Right. So can we ask you quickly, Sheryl Hermonstine, about what this means for women in administration and sport in Guyana? If you think that this is a platform that gives you an opportunity to resonate the struggles of women generally in life and as a sport administrator.
Yes, it's telling me that women have to come out and be strong and stand up for what is right and what they know they can do. That is what it's telling me.
Okay, well, as we're going to leave it here, President, I wish you the best in this role because, as would have been illustrated in the past 10 minutes or so, about half of the delegate framework didn't participate in this process. So it means that you have a fractured fraternity presiding over. And we wish you the best in trying to resuscitate the parties that weren't interested in voting yesterday for whatever reasons. And we hope that you can get Guyana's track and field on solid ground and moving in a good direction.
Well, I actually plan to move forward, and I wish to correct you that I didn't have a fraction. We had more than half. Our clubs are that of 12, and we had 7 persons in the voting room, and so it was not merely a fraction.
Yeah, but six voted. 6 voted. 7 didn't vote. 6 voted. Yeah. So 6 is half. Half of
not a fraction.
Yes, it's half. It's a fraction. It's a half. It's a fraction. Anyway, we leave it there, President, and we wish you the best in your tenure. And we know that Guyana's track and field has been advancing in recent years, and we hope that you continue that process well.
I hope to.
Okay.
I will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Yeah. You know, Lance and Mariah, I think Sheryl Hermonstine will be successful as Guyana Athletics Association president, Athletics Association of Guyana president.
Yes.
And part of the reason I genuinely believe that is because I think she has behind her, I use the term power brokers. Mm-hmm. She has individuals who will support her. And I think that is important to any successful tenure in any sort of administration. It's important that the power brokers, either those with the money or the influence, support your leadership. And I think she is getting the support from the right places in this instance. And because of that, I fully will expect her to be successful. Listen to, for example, the different individuals speak about her interim period as head of the AAG, and how successful they feel that period was, and teams were sent and went to events on time and whatever the case, everything seamless. Yes, so I expect more of the same in her period as president of this association.
Well, the most powerful sporting bodies in Guyana would be the Sports Ministry, the Guyana Olympic Association, and the National Sports Council in Guyana, and we gather that she has
their support.
all of them supporting her. So
well, there you go.
I take your point.
Yeah.
We go to break. We'll be back with more on the SportsMax Zone after this.